Are you tired of scrolling past the same recommendations again and again and still not finding anything fresh to watch? Well, today that changes because I'm about to take you through 10 miniseries that almost nobody talks about, but absolutely should. Hidden gems, overlooked masterpieces, shows that slipped under the radar but deserve a spot on your watch list right now. So grab your snacks, get comfortable, because by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with 10 new series you probably haven't seen, but definitely should. Let's dive in.
Can you keep a secret? There's danger everywhere, but danger had never looked quite like this before.
Alright, let's kick things off with the first series on the list that, honestly, most people completely slept on it, and that is number 10, Under the Bridge. This one is based on the real-life murder of Reena Virk, a 14-year-old girl of Indian origin in Canada back in 1997. The show blends crime investigation, teen drama, and psychological tension. Not flashy, not over the top, just raw, grounded storytelling that slowly gets under your skin. What really hooks you is how every character feels uncomfortably real. There's no one who's fully innocent, no one who's fully guilty. It's that messy gray area that keeps you watching. The performances are quietly outstanding. Everyone from the young cast to veterans brings real weight to their roles. The series is a slow burn. It takes its time, and honestly, it could have wrapped up in about 6 episodes. But if you enjoy true crime dramas that build tension layer by layer and reward your patience with a haunting payoff, this one should definitely be on your watch list. Number 9, Love and Death.
It is human nature to go for something with a little thrill at the risk of falling.
Oh! Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you sure?
We're going from one true crime story to another, but I promise you this one is wildly different. This is the story of Candy Montgomery, a church-going, seemingly perfect housewife who had an affair with a man from her church and then killed his wife with an axe 41 times. But what makes Love and Death different from other true crime shows is how it approaches the story. Written by David E. Kelley, the creator behind Big Little Lies, the series finds similarities in both stories. Appearance-obsessed women driven by repressed rage to acts of violence. Elizabeth Olsen delivers a magnetic performance as Candy, keeping her mysterious even as the facts of the case become clear, with stellar supporting performances from Jesse Plemons and Lily Rabe. Love and Death is a haunting exploration of a human psyche under pressure, and beautifully crafted, deeply unsettling, and impossible to look away from. If you're drawn to psychological crime dramas that dig beneath the surface to explore why, rather than just what happened, this one deserves your attention. Number 8, Under the Banner of Heaven.
A woman and her 15-month-old child were murdered in their home.
This is the one that made people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it matters. The series is set in 1984 Utah and follows Detective Jeb Pyre, played by Andrew Garfield, a devout Mormon, a family man, someone whose entire identity is shaped by his faith and community. But when a young woman and her infant daughter are brutally murdered, Pyre is pulled into a case that forces him to confront the darkest corners of religious extremism. The show blends crime thriller and religious drama in a way very few series attempt. It digs deep into themes of faith, control, obedience, and how belief can be twisted. Now, what makes it underrated? Most people simply missed it because it's not a loud, mainstream show. It's quiet, haunting, and morally heavy, the kind of storytelling that requires your full attention. But yes, there's one downside I want to point it out: the pacing. Some episodes lean heavily into religious backstory and flashbacks, which might feel slow or stretched if you're expecting a fast-paced thriller. But honestly, those details are what give the series its depth and uncomfortable realism. If you want something that challenges you, that makes you think as much as it makes you feel, Under the Banner of Heaven is absolutely worth your time. Just be ready for it because this one stays with you. Alright, now we're entering the criminally underrated territory. Number 7 is Devs, a mind-bending, atmospheric science fiction miniseries from Alex Garland.
The last time I saw him, he was headed toward Devs, and then he disappears. Something bad happened to him.
The series follows Lily Chan, a software engineer working at a mysterious tech giant called Amaya. When her boyfriend suddenly dies under very suspicious circumstances, Lily becomes convinced the company, specifically a top-secret division called Devs, is involved. As she digs deeper, she discovers that Devs isn't just another fancy tech project, it's something far bigger, something that can literally reshape everything we know about reality, time, and free will. This is slow burn, thought-provoking sci-fi at its finest, the kind that sparks questions about the nature of free will and the horrors of technological advancement. If you loved Westworld, Black Mirror, or anything that plays with the fabric of reality itself, Devs is an underrated gem you don't want to miss. Number 6, The Crowded Room.
Couldn't be a coincidence, could it?
This is inspired by the true story of Billy Milligan, the first person to successfully use dissociative identity disorder as a legal defense in a criminal trial. Tom Holland plays Danny Sullivan, a young man arrested for a shooting in 1979 New York. And Amanda Seyfried plays the interrogator, trying to understand what actually happened. The show takes its time building the psychological foundation, but if you have patience, the payoff is worth it, because once the real truth starts unfolding, it becomes an incredibly emotional, heartbreaking, and beautifully crafted character study. It is not a typical thriller. It's a story about trauma, identity, and the invisible battles people carry inside them. And it absolutely deserves a place on this list of underrated miniseries you probably haven't seen, but definitely should. Number 5, Station 11.
I think this thing is really happening. You can see it out there.
Look, I'm just going to say it up front. This might be the most beautiful post-apocalyptic story ever put on screen. The series begins with the outbreak of a fast-spreading flu that wipes out most of humanity. But instead of focusing only on survival, Station 11 jumps across timelines, before, during, and decades after the collapse, to show how different characters are connected by one strange, beautifully illustrated graphic novel. This is a post-apocalyptic story told with warmth, artistry, and emotional depth. It makes you think about the people you've loved, the people you've lost, and the stories that live on after us. There's an episode 5 in the series that might be one of the finest hours of television I've ever seen. It's almost entirely contained in one location, showing what happens in those first few weeks after the collapse, and it's both devastating and deeply moving. You'll know it when you see it. If you've been avoiding this because you're pandemic fatigued, I get it. But this isn't about the pandemic. It's about what comes after. It's about why we tell stories, why we create art, and why we hold on to each other. And right now, that might be exactly what we need to remember. This one's special. Don't sleep on it. Number 4, Disclaimer. When 5-time Academy Award winner Alfonso Cuarón, the visionary behind Gravity and Children of Men, decides to make his first television series, you pay attention. Cate Blanchett plays Catherine Ravenscroft, an acclaimed documentary journalist whose career has been built on exposing the truth of others. She's respected, successful, and untouchable, until a novel arrives at her door. A book that tells the story of a secret from her past, something she buried decades ago. And as the book circulates and her carefully constructed life begins to collapse, we're forced to ask, whose truth are we actually watching? Cate Blanchett and Kevin Kline absolutely elevate the show. Their performances feel raw and lived in, especially when the personal and moral tension starts boiling over. What makes Disclaimer so powerful is how Cuarón manipulates our perception. The director himself stated that the show should be watched twice because on the second viewing, you'll see a completely different story once you know the truth. 7 episodes, each one directed by Alfonso Cuarón, each one building toward a truth that's more complicated and more heartbreaking than you expect. This is prestige television in the truest sense. If you want to see what happens when a master filmmaker brings cinematic vision to television, Disclaimer is it. Just be prepared. This one doesn't let you off easy. Number 3, Ripley. This is the darkest, coldest, most hypnotic version of Ripley ever put on screen, completely different from Matt Damon's 1999 movie. It's set against the breathtaking backdrops of 1960s Italy. The story follows a petty con man named Tom Ripley, when wealthy man approaches him with an unusual proposal to travel to Italy and convince his spoiled son Dickie to return home after years abroad. Ripley seizes the opportunity and embarks on a mission, but what begins as a simple task to bring Dickie back home turns into an unbelievable game, a game no one could have imagined. Shot entirely in stunning black and white, this miniseries feels like stepping into a vintage noir film. Every frame looks like a photograph you could hang on a wall. Andrew Scott plays him with such cold precision that you literally forget you're watching the same guy from Fleabag and Sherlock. The pacing is deliberate. At 8 episodes, with most running close to an hour, this is not a binge watch. This is something you sit with. Each episode feels like a complete short film, and the black and white cinematography makes you notice things you'd normally miss. If you love slow burn psychological thrillers, classic noir, or just visually stunning television that respects your intelligence, Ripley is an absolute masterpiece. Number 2, 11/22/63.
I'm gonna tell you something. It's gonna seem crazy. I need you to go in this closet, take a look around, then I'll tell you everything.
If you love time travel stories that actually mean something, not just flashy timelines and paradoxes, then this mini-series is one you absolutely should not sleep on. Based on Stephen King's novel, the series follows Jake Epping, played by James Franco, a regular school teacher who gets pulled into a mind-bending mission. Go back in time to the early 1960s and stop the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. But nothing about this mission is simple. The past does not want to be changed. It fights back. Every time Jake gets close to the truth, something goes wrong. Accidents, threats, warnings, strange forces pushing against him. And that constant push and pull creates some of the most tense scenes in any time travel story. The show has a mix-up of a love story, a detective investigation, a ticking clock thriller, and a meditation on fate, consequences, and the cost of rewriting time. It's gripping, it's atmospheric, and it's one of those underrated shows you'll think about long after you're done. Number 1, Dopesick.
Your most effective talking point are these magic words.
Less than 1% of people get addicted to Oxycontin.
That's not possible.
And finally, sitting at the very top of this list is the most powerful, most urgent, and easily one of the most underrated miniseries a lot of people still haven't watched. This isn't just a show. This is a gut punch, a wake-up call, a story that grabs you by the collar and forces you to look at a crisis that destroyed countless lives across America. Dopesick takes you inside the rise of the opioid epidemic, starting from the boardrooms of Purdue Pharma, where OxyContin was marketed as a miracle painkiller, and then tracing how that single decision spiraled into a nationwide disaster. What makes the series so powerful is its multi-layered storytelling. You're not just watching one perspective, you're watching doctors trying to help their patients, minors and working class families getting trapped by addiction, DEA agents chasing the truth, lawyers fighting a giant corporation, and the executives themselves who knew exactly what they were unleashing. At the center of it all is Michael Keaton delivering one of the best performances of his entire career. His character's journey from compassion to heartbreak to desperation is something you feel in your bones. The series is raw, emotional, and painfully real. Some episodes will make you angry, others will break your heart, and some will leave you staring at the screen, speechless. If there's one underrated miniseries on this list that every viewer around the globe should watch, it's this one. And that wraps up our list. Now I'm curious. Which one are you adding to your watch list first? Or better, drop the name of a hidden gem you think more people should know about. I'm always hunting for underrated stuff, and your recommendation might make it into the next video. And if you enjoyed this list, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Cine Commendation. Alright, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.